Your brain is spectacularly bad at imagining your future self, and that failure costs you money every single month. Not occasionally, not when you're being reckless. Every single month, without exception, your brain is making financial decisions based on a version of your future that it cannot actually see clearly. And the distortion is not small, it is profound, and it is baked into the architecture of how human cognition works. This is not about discipline. This is not about financial literacy. This is about a fundamental limitation in how the brain represents time. And once you understand it, a lot of decisions that previously made no sense about yourself will start to make perfect sense. Let's start with the research, because this one genuinely surprised scientists when they first found it. Researchers at Stanford placed participants in a brain scanner and asked them to think about themselves. Their brain activity was recorded. Then researchers asked the same participants to think about a stranger, a person they had never met. Again, the brain activity was recorded. Then researchers asked participants to think about themselves 10 years in the future. What they found was striking. When people imagined their future self, the regions of the brain that activated were not the regions associated with thinking about oneself. They were the regions associated with thinking about a stranger. Your brain does not experience your future self as you. It experiences your future self as someone else entirely, a vague, somewhat unfamiliar person who exists at a distance and who your present brain feels, neurologically, very little obligation toward. This is called future self discontinuity, and it explains, with unusual precision, why you keep making the same financial decision, the one where present you chooses something immediately pleasurable at the cost of future you. It doesn't feel selfish because it doesn't feel like you're taking from yourself. It feels like you're taking from a stranger, and humans are remarkably comfortable doing that. The second mechanism operates on top of this and compounds the damage considerably. Economists call it temporal discounting. Temporal discounting describes the way the brain automatically reduces the perceived value of future rewards the further away they are in time. A reward available right now feels large. The same reward available in 1 year feels smaller. The same reward available in 10 years feels almost abstract, not because the reward changed, because time itself diminishes how real it feels to your brain. Here is the financial cost of this in practical terms. Researchers have calculated that the average person, when offered a choice between $100 today and a larger sum in the future, begins to prefer the immediate $100 over amounts significantly higher than $100 the further the future date extends. The brain applies what is essentially an irrational discount rate to future money, making future financial well-being feel worth less than it objectively is. This is why saving feels abstract. This is why retirement feels unreal until it is suddenly very close. This is why the person who genuinely intends to start investing next month has been genuinely intending to start investing next month for several years. Each time the decision arrives, present you feels real and immediate, future you feels distant and theoretical, and present you wins every single time, not out of laziness. Out of the brain's built-in architecture for valuing time. The third mechanism is perhaps the most quietly devastating because it operates on the stories we tell ourselves about why we're not acting yet. Researchers call this present bias. Present bias is the tendency to give stronger weight to present costs than to future costs, and stronger weight to future rewards than to present rewards in ways that are systematically inconsistent. Here is what that looks like in financial behavior. You genuinely intend to save more next month. Next month you will be more disciplined. Next month the circumstances will be slightly different and the saving will be easier. This intention feels real and sincere, but when next month arrives and becomes the present, it faces the same bias that all present moments face. The cost of saving feels immediate and concrete. The benefit of saving feels distant and abstract. And so the decision that seemed obvious in the future dissolves in the present. This repeats indefinitely, not because you keep lying to yourself, but because the bias genuinely changes depending on whether you're thinking about a decision in the future or experiencing it right now. The brain that made the plan and the brain that executes the plan are operating under different rules, and no amount of planning from one state fully accounts for what the other state will feel. Now, here is the part of this video that matters most. Most coverage of these biases stops at the description. Here is the bias. Here is how it works. Good luck. But research has identified something that actually moves the needle, not completely, not permanently, but measurably. Visualization, specific, detailed, sensory visualization of your future self. A team of researchers led by Hal Hershfield, the same researcher whose brain imaging work revealed future self discontinuity, ran a series of follow-up studies. They showed participants aged photographs of themselves, what they would look like in 20 or 30 years, before asking them to make financial decisions. Participants who saw their aged selves allocated significantly more money to long-term saving than participants who did not. Not because the information changed, because the future self became more real, more specific, more like a person they actually recognized rather than a stranger they felt no connection to. The brain's problem with future financial decisions is fundamentally a problem of vividness. The present is vivid, the future is not, and when you can make the future more vivid, even slightly, the decisions that future self needs from you start to feel more real. This doesn't require a photograph. It requires specificity. Not "I want to be financially stable someday," but what does financially stable feel like on a specific Tuesday morning in a specific number of years? What does your account look like? What does not having a particular anxiety feel like? The more specific and sensory the image, the more your brain begins to treat that future self as someone worth protecting rather than a stranger it can safely disappoint. Your brain was not built for the financial world you're living in. It was built for a world where the present was everything and the future was too uncertain to plan for meaningfully. That world no longer exists, but the brain does not know that yet. You are not failing to plan for your future because you don't care about it. You are failing to plan for it because your brain genuinely cannot see it clearly. And now, for the first time, you understand exactly why. Like if this explains a lot.